Hey, this is Watch a Doc. Alex and DJ Watch a Doc. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but that's DJ. I'm Alex. And what are we watching? What did we watch?
You finally do the intro,
Yeah.
and you knocked it out of the park. What can I say?
I would call it loose and sloppy, but yeah, whatever you want to.
Yeah, you know, there was personality. This week we watched the one and only Dick Gregory.
Yeah, you see, you're bringing the kind of professionalism of the way you said that. Yes, the one and only Dick Gregory, which was
Fantastic. I'd also like to mention before we get into it,
Yeah.
because I've forgotten a couple episodes,
Sure.
our phone number. You can text us any questions about any episode you've seen. That phone number is 707-506-6257, and we will answer the questions right here on the show.
I would do the number too, but you that's your number. You remember it. It's harder for me to remember his number.
It's our number. You have to learn that we're a team now, Alex. I don't know who hurt you in the past, but we're together, man. I'm not going anywhere.
It's just that you have a history with that number, and I don't know anything about it, and I feel like now I've got to get in on it, pretend like it's all fresh and new.
I get it. Change is hard. The one and only Dick Gregory.
Yeah. Okay. Let's
start with this. The man was an absolute giant. I texted you last night after I finished watching it. I'm like, how many chapters can you fit in one life? This man.
This was.
He was insane.
Yeah. I had a lot of respect, and also kind of a shame for myself.
Yeah.
That's kind of how. That's what I felt during that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he was an amazing comedian in a time where it was hard to be an amazing not hard to be an amazing black comedian, but an amazing black comedian that got the recognition he deserved, he or she deserved.
Yes.
And he did it. He was on the Jack Parr show. He was on, mainstream television at a young age. He was pretty much an overnight success. We both know, being comedian, overnight success, there's usually a lot more work that goes into it. There's no true overnight successes usually, but he did come out of nowhere, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, he did get like a clear break, but it was also like what he did with that break. You're like, well, that was also just him. I mean, the thing is that he clearly he has confidence, and he has a great deal of discipline and strength. So it's like kind of hard to. It's like, yeah, if he had an opportunity, he'd probably make good use of it, but also he was talking about the right thing at the right time.
He was so strong-willed, like that Playboy story where they said it was a bunch of Southerners at the Playboy Mansion.
Yeah.
The Playboy, not the Playboy Mansion, the Playboy in Chicago. It was televised too for a while. It was the Playboy. It wasn't a mansion. Playboy party.
No, it was a Playboy club. Yeah,
Playboy
It was like
Club.
1961. Yeah, it was 1961, and he. I like the fact that he basically was in one of those classic stories too, where the regular guy, the main guy, dropped out, and he had to fill it in. And what's funny is just the detail of that story, where they talk about the fact that they were Southerners and they were part of like a frozen food
convention
company or something like that.
And they're like, you don't have to get up there. And he was like, you don't know what I've done to get here.
I mean, that must have been a chilly reception.
Oh,
I wonder if he used something like that. I wonder if he used something like that.
Oh my God.
To open with.
That's crazy. An audience like that, you're surprised they didn't freeze him out.
Yeah, exactly. I like the fact that we're starting already with trying to show off our punchlines before we even talk about his much more relevant and biting and socially.
You think his incisive commentary on race relations in America was hard hitting? How about these puns? These frozen food puns, huh?
Exactly. We just want to let you know that if we come off judgmental, it's because this is what we're bringing to the table.
Yeah, we are the descendants of Dick Gregory, as we like to say.
yeah, and as everybody likes to listen to us say too.
So he gets up there and he makes them laugh. And, statistically, this room full of white Southerners, a lot of them had to be racist in 1961. Sure. Not saying they all were.
Sure.
But so the fact that he made them laugh, what a satisfying feeling that's got to be for him to be like, you hate me. Sure. And now you're laughing at me. Sure. Although I'm sure part of your brain in that situation, if you're Dick Gregory, is like, I hope you're laughing for the right reasons.
Well, that's it too, right? I mean, there is that element of feeling like there's a power in taking control of the laughter, but there's also that feeling like you're a bit of a jester at the same time. Like they're the king and you're the one you're amusing them for money.
Yeah.
So there's still that's there. Like I feel that every time I step on that stage, I view the audience with the kind of disdain that's appropriate for someone who thinks they're better than me. So there's that. And also, look, the fact is that he talked about how he learned how to use the insults people were throwing at him as a kid to twist them around, and he says them first. He controls the crowd. He gets laughs from all the kids, and now he feels that control. I mean, that what he's talking about when he's talking to the Southerners is he's talking about his point of view as being a person who has suffered. I mean, it's the same kind of thing. You're talking about how bad we have it.
But you're talking to the people who have made you suffer.
Exactly.
That's powerful, man.
Right, it is. It's right in your face.
Yeah.
And also, how much power do you have? And also the fact that, it was a really good time for the fact that he is presenting himself as a new type of entertainer. That's what they talked about. Him stepping flat-footed on a stage and delivering stand-up in a very cool way.
That flat-footed thing stuck with me too.
Yeah.
He's just stepping out there flat-footed. Yeah.
I'm actually, I have a serious pronation, and I am somewhat flat-footed, but it feels it's like different when I do it. I actually awkwardly my ankles hit the stage as I get on. Yeah.
Yeah, his was a metaphor. Yours is a medical condition.
It is. And if anybody actually is very good with orthotics, I need a new pair, just call the number.
I'll pass the message along to you.
Okay, thanks.
So I loved his style when he was young. When they showed footage of him, I don't think they had actual footage from the Playboy Club, but they had footage of him when he got on the Jack Parr show shortly after, which is an amazing story because he turns it down.
Yeah.
That's
the balls. There's the balls again.
The balls, because he said you've never had a black person sit beside you on the couch, and I'm not just going to come there and tell my jokes and leave.
Yeah.
So he says no to the booker. So Jack Parr calls him personally, and he's like, "You can sit beside me."
It's an invite.
That's incredible.
He gets an invitation into the living room, onto the couch, kind of thing. So the fact that but the thing is, like, he demanded that. Like, even that wasn't given to him. He kind of demanded it. So again, like, it's like. He makes use of opportunities.
Yeah.
He clearly is a star. Well, apparently he was like a kind of a star athlete on track in high school and university or something like that. So he already had a kind of confidence. Apparently he was had a local fame because he did well. So he did have a little cockiness, I'm sure, to begin with.
Yeah, do you know, I mean, they didn't mention this in it at all. They did mention that he was a good athlete, but I think there's something to be said that...
What is it? You hear the
the water in it. Just
whoa! Okay.
Did that chair break?
A bit of a crack. Everybody just
real physical comedy.
No
here
lean
tonight.
backs. No more lean backs. Let's work on the core now. We're working on the core.
Oh my God! It's so hot in here too. We're both gonna pass out on camera.
I love the crack. All right.
So I think there's something to be said for the confidence that you gain from sports. And I know this might be a sore spot for you because you've mentioned in previous episodes that you didn't necessarily play a lot of sports or you were picked last. But I feel like a lot of the confidence that I have for stand-up came from playing sports and being decent at it at a young age. So my question to you is, if sports wasn't the thing that built your confidence, what did? What gave you the confidence to be a stand-up comedian?
Just the appeal of my sheer personality. Just the fact that I actually, in a way, it made it more, it does make it more important, because if you're not good at that thing socially, which is sports, then you're like, now all the cards, are in. We got the cards, the chips. Sorry, the chips.
I gotcha. His style
cards
was so cool, man.
Yeah, you like that, didn't you?
When you watch a lot of old comedy, I always kind of half expect to go, in my head go, I know this was legendary. I know this was great for its time, but I'm not going to love it. Like, because I've seen enough old comedy to feel that way. But he was funny and cool. That one joke he told about like how Mississippi was integrating, so white folks are scared because they know black people are going to have jobs like driving buses. So he's like, but don't worry, they're making the steering wheel long enough that they can still drive from the back of the bus.
Yeah, and he's using the base of the stool. Sorry, the mic stand. So he's even doing a little visual, physical thing there.
He was, and it made me jealous of the cigarette on stage because the way he could, accentuate a punchline, the comic timing with the cigarette.
He sort of counted on that too, though. He made us aware that he would kind of use the cigarette, which is why the idea that him quitting his 3 or 4 pack a day habit must have been like, oh, all right, if I don't have a cigarette, how am I gonna? And it's funny that is a bit of a tool, because if you think about, like, maybe that has something to do with how his stand-up sounded later, right? Because he didn't have, if he stopped smoking, now his stand-up can't be chill in the same way, because that's part of the chill.
Yeah.
He kind of needed to change his energy slightly, which it did.
Yeah. Well, coming up in Toronto, there were a lot of weed rooms. Many shows that I would perform on smoking a joint on stage.
Sure.
I felt infinitely funnier with that joint in my hand.
Of course, because you were infinitely cooler. Like, you also it's such a projection to the audience of like, I mean, and also particularly with that's a different story too, because that's a pothead audience too. So they're like looking at you thinking, wow, you're cool enough to do that up on stage for all to see.
Yeah.
You are our representative. Yeah.
Yeah, it felt, you're like, you're not worried that you're going to like get too high and not be able to tell your jokes? I'm like, I'm very worried about that.
That works.
So he does the Playboy Club. He does the Jack Paar thing. He's making $5,000 a night, they say.
That's
from
pretty
nothing.
Wild, yeah.
In 1961 or 62?
Yeah, I think he was making, what did he say he was making like $150 a week, or I don't know, something like $250 a week or something like that, to like $5,000 a night.
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing.
$500,000 a year.
Yeah.
And then he walks away from all of that because Medgar Evers, legendary, civil rights activist, invites him down to Jackson, Mississippi for a protest. And then he's just completely swept up by the idea of, I have to help my brothers and sisters. Showbiz is not that important. And cancels, he got sued by his publicist and booking agent because he canceled everything to be part of the movement.
I know that's the part where it's like, okay, now he's splitting into becoming more of a full human being than, let's say, you and I are.
Yeah, I mean, by leaps and bounds.
Yeah, I'm just saying this is where he breaks away. I mean, aside from the fact that his level of success far exceeds ours, right? There's and also the legendary status
and breaking through a color barrier,
right? I mean, all those things on the showbiz side.
Yeah,
that's where now he breaks away. We watch him as he leaves, and now he's living another kind of life, while still dipping a toe occasionally when need be to kind of keep his status as a comic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was legendary. The fact that I didn't know anything about him before this, other than I knew some of the civil rights stuff, like I associated that with him in my head, but I didn't know anything beyond that. Yeah, and I knew comedian. So why didn't we know more about Dick Gregory?
I think two reasons. First of all, let's just start off with racism. Let's just go with the fact that systemic racism. Let's just go with the fact that it's just not, to largely a white population. You're not going to hear as much about that. So
why do Pryor and Cosby break through the racism and not Dick Gregory?
Well, I think there's a couple. First of all, he just didn't. I mean, they talked about him. By him starting to become an activist, he gave up on work that actually Cosby did jump on. And so Cosby in some ways benefited the same way that he popped in at the Playboy Club to grab that spot, and then they kept him for 3 weeks. Yeah, it's the same thing, except Cosby just kept on going until he allegedly did some things.
What?
Well, that's the difference too, right? Like, so there's that. That's who we know. Because Cosby, first of all, talks a lot about his experiences as a kid. And so as kids, we hear it. Like, I heard it when I was young enough that it was like, oh, this is kind of funny and fun, and he's got voices. I mean, the kind of stuff that Dick Gregory is going to be talking about in the 60s is just not, we're going to have to come to it now, right?
Yeah.
And then appreciate it now, which is great.
Yeah. Which
is ironic because now we don't appreciate the other guy as much.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to come to it after, J. Edgar has had his way with it. J. Edgar Hoover and the FBI and
Right.
and American media censorship. Like there's a lot of hurdles to clear when you're a black man talking about racism in America.
Yeah.
Like the fact that he was, even when I was watching those jokes that he was doing on TV at that time, I'm like, I don't know much about the 60s. Like obviously I didn't live through it, but I'm like, that's crazy that NBC, or I think it was NBC that would have had Jack Paar. I think it was the Tonight Show.
Yeah, yeah.
The fact that they allowed him to say those things on the air is like pretty like the switchboard lit up, they said.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's a matter of like who's kind of in charge. It might have been more on the liberal side than not. So they're like, yeah, it's time for this already.
I think what you mentioned earlier is a good point too. You said how his voice, like when he stopped smoking, got bigger and brasher as he got older.
Sure.
I think also he had to be chill in the beginning to deliver these messages.
Totally.
To be like, hey guys, hey listen, I'm not stressing out about it. I'm just saying
exactly
you're all racist and want us dead, and I don't understand why.
Yeah.
Just smoking a cigarette.
Yeah, it's true.
And then he got more comfortable, more angry. His friend Medgar Evers was murdered, right? Dr. Martin Luther King was murdered, obviously. He's seeing the most important figures in this movement be murdered. It's hard to be chill and smoke a cigarette and be relaxed after you've seen and done all that.
Yeah. Well, and again, like, I mean, he's kind of stopped doing stand-up to a great extent. I mean, he's doing it in the service of opening up for a rally, so that way to get people getting, this is something about like he'd come in first before Martin Luther King Jr. came in. Like he kind of got people talking, and then Martin Luther King could come in and give his message.
Yeah.
So it's
he
like
was the opening act for Martin Luther King.
Exactly. But still, but he's still bringing the jokes, and probably he's keeping it. He's got the talking points and also the jokes to keep people interested and all that.
Yeah.
So he's still doing it, but it's just now, I think it said where like, certain contemporary comics would think that his humor was blunted when he became terms like that. I'm thinking like,
he didn't even say contemporary comics. That scene infuriated me because he was like, your fellow black comedians say your humor has been, your fellow Negro comedians, he said, say your humor's been blunted. I was like, don't try to turn him against his own race. What an ignorant statement to make.
That's true too. Yeah, actually, it's funny because I was sort of thinking just in general the comedic point of view, but you're absolutely right. The fact that they're like trying to pit both against each other.
Yeah, your race and your peers. But your Negro comedian peers say you lost it.
Yeah,
bud.
you lost it. You lost the funny. And the idea of that too is so absurd because it's like, yeah, you trying to help us in the community is really, really fucked up your act.
You know what really messed it up? Was that Jack Paar, by the way? Who said that Negro?
I can't remember. I think you remember the line better. Yeah.
So it's a white TV host, but this is what infuriated me about it.
Oh, maybe it was Merv Griffin.
Was it?
Yeah, the kind of like little Weasley guy. Yeah.
So he's not out on stage yet. He's introducing him to the stage. And he goes, this next comedian, a lot of his fellow Negro comedian peers have said that he's lost it, or he's blunted his humor because of the stuff he's talking about. But we love him here. Put your hand together.
Backhanded.
Yeah, it was like, don't worry, you still have a home here with the white audience and the white host, even though you're black.
So brutal.
It was, the whole thing made me
actually, it's funny because I guess as I was just watching things that kind of skimmed by me, and I didn't really think of what he was doing. It is a terrible introduction too. The fact that like it's almost like saying that you know what, a lot of people say shit things about you, but you know what, you'll always be okay around here. It's like, who's talking?
Yeah. Yeah, my dad would always say a passive-aggressive thing like that as a joke. He'd be like, you're a great guy. I don't care what anyone says.
That's exactly it. This is what anyone says. He gave a what anyone says to him.
Yeah.
What a piece of shit maneuver that was.
Yeah. I also want to say his wife, Lil, there should be another documentary about her.
Yeah, right?
She raises 10 kids.
10 kids. How? Like, how do you do alone? And it's like kind of, I'm sure she's not always cool about it, but certainly she's not. She's saying, I mean, I don't think they're cutting out the bad stuff. Like, she's just supportive and like understands it, knows that also he is doing the greater good. I mean, it's kind of hard to, I mean, she seems like quite a good person, so she'd come off not well if she's like, I can't believe it that you're trying to save the world.
I know. But by his own admission, he was gone 90% of the time.
It's crazy.
10 kids, and she was booking a lot of his career. They said, like, from the moment he met her, like, if you needed him for something, you went through Lil. She was wearing a lot of hats. And I thought of something funny last night while I was watching it. Like, you often hear the children of people who are that outsized, like he was, speak, and they're like, I missed him a lot when I was young, but I realize now that we were his children, but the world was also his children.
Right.
And you hear that, but I was thinking, like, if I tried to say that to Madge, my way, if I was like, hey, listen, the world is my children, you know, we don't have any children yet, but if I said the world are my children, she would be like, hey, cool little allegory there, dude. But your real children, they're here at home. So call your buddies Medgar and Dr. Martin and tell them you're not partying this weekend. I'd be like, I'm telling you for the last time, we're not partying. We're affecting change.
That's what we're not partying. We're not partying. Yeah, that's what was happening. No, you don't get it. We're affecting change. That's what he's yelling to Lilith. That's pretty good.
Was it Lilith that it stood for? I just remembered the Lil.
I don't know. I just said Lilith. I just gave her her proper respect.
I mean, it might have been more disrespect if her name's not Lilith. You're just giving her a name that's not hers.
Oh yeah, no.
Could be Lillian.
Oh, sorry. No, that's Lillian. You're right. Yeah.
Who knows? But
Lillian sounds actually more appropriate. Let me look that up. Let's kill the timing of this whole thing.
Whatever her name is, Lil, what they called her, was a saint.
Yeah.
I mean, their household, when you looked at pictures, 10 kids, that looked like a happy family, man.
Sure.
You know, sometimes you see pictures of like a mom and 10 kids, and like at least 5 of the people in the picture are like, this sucks, this house is mayhem or whatever, but it's like every picture was like 10 happy kids.
Everybody was cool.
Yeah, it looked like, and he was a hardcore, this is another element of his personality, hardcore health guru, like all about whole foods, vegan diet. This is in the 60s. Obviously a lot of people talk about this stuff now, but in the 60s, so all his kids had to eat that healthy. There was that one thing where they ate pizza when he was gone, so he came home, found out they had eaten pizza and put a chain around the fridge and they couldn't eat out of it for 3 days.
So when he changed, there's a thing I was unsure about. When he chained the fridge, it's like he chained the fridge from the healthy food. They couldn't eat the healthy food that he kept in the fridge.
I don't think they could eat any food.
Any food? So he started them on fasting too?
I think so. You want to talk about the fasting?
Yeah,
mind blowing.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I didn't know you could. He fasted for 2 years protesting the Vietnam War.
Yeah. When he said 14 months, when he said I've been fasting for 14 months, I literally thought, oh, he made a mistake. He meant to say days.
Nope.
And then like it literally took me to read something where it said that it was 14 months or longer, and I thought, oh, so this was like he was just a faster. Like he wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna fast. He was just like, I'm going to be. Which, you know, there's like a culture of fasting too, right? How it actually makes you feel great.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think they recommend 2 years, though. But yeah, he was juicing, and here's how...
He'd do juice fasts too. It wasn't like pure just a water fast, but...
That's how petty I am when they were like, he juiced every day. I was like, that's not fasting.
Exactly, yeah. I was thinking, come on, a nice filling glass of juice.
You call that fasting, bud? But he was doing it to protest the Vietnam War, and it brought a lot of publicity to it.
Yeah,
Muhammad Ali mentioned him.
Yeah, Muhammad Ali. And
he went from 288 pounds to 98 pounds by the end of the fast.
Yeah, that's wild.
And was running cross-country, New York to L.A., while fasting. The man was
while
fasting.
He was getting like blisters. Did you see? There's like image where he was getting like blisters. They were saying, like, you can imagine he was getting blisters on blisters because he was doing 50 miles a day. He was talking about like 2 marathons a day. Like it makes sense once you start to go, okay, he was at least a track star, so at least he has some history of like, I know how to push myself. But like that, I mean,
it was mind blowing.
And then you see the shoes they were wearing. It was just the image. You see the shoes they were wearing, like some like Asics and Adidas, or like the gumshoe,
no orthotics.
Yeah, just kind of like those flappy little, look like gazelles or something like that. They're running in those. That's gotta hurt.
Yeah, I know. And he just did it, and he wouldn't stop. It was like, you know, like, nobody's going to blame you if you just stop right now. Like, we know you're a good person trying to raise awareness, but if your feet and legs or whatever's hurting, that's fine. And he didn't.
He just kept going. Yeah, he. That's the thing, is he has this, it's like just strength and discipline. I mean, I know these words because I don't currently have them. So, yeah.
And will. I don't have the will that he has. Like, and, you know, he was arrested 100 times. Also, he got shot in the leg at a protest in Los Angeles. And I've never seen a documentary gloss over a shooting as much as, I mean, I know there's a lot to pack into this life here, but He got shot. What happened? They're just like moving on.
Yeah, I think it was in Watts where he was trying to he was getting between, like he was trying to calm down a crowd, and then he gets shot.
Yeah.
So he gets shot. He gets beaten in the jail until he rips his suit. It's like
5 guys. The guards beat him so hard his arm was broken, but he didn't want to tell them that it might be broken because he was scared they would send him to a hospital and just amputate it.
Right. Yeah, amputate it too. He was worried about that. But he's just like, clearly he can handle pain. Like,
yeah.
Like he's just he became familiar with pain. Mm-hmm. These are things I'm not good at. That's why I say them with this kind of reverence.
I agree. I don't think most people seek pain or go into a situation knowing not just pain. He knew he might die.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
That's not like some highfalutin idea. Like 2 of his best friends died fighting for the cause. Yeah. Medgar Evers, man, I'm a soft little weepy boy, as you've called me in the past. Sure. But that moment where he lost his 2-year-old son, went home to be with his wife and children, and while he was gone, Medgar Evers was murdered in his driveway.
Brutal.
I mean, to come back from that 1-2 punch in your personal life and keep fighting for the cause.
I mean, you almost got to feel like this is clearly an important, like I'm on this journey. That's a big, like if this is happening around me, like clearly I have to just commit to this journey, because
I think he did feel that way.
You've got to like sort of like elevate yourself beyond the depression of what just happened to say, okay, well, I mean, clearly if this is happening like bang bang, there's some meaning in all of this. There must be. Yeah.
It's kind of surprising, with J. Edgar Hoover opening a file on him and the creepy memo in the file that said we need to neutralize him, but not through any public means. He already gets too much publicity, saying like we need to like do it in more backhanded ways. J. Edgar Hoover, man, I don't know that much about him, but the guy gives me the heebie-jeebies. Sure. There's never a good J. Edgar Hoover story.
No.
I got to talk to J. Edgar Hoover.
Yeah, not a lot of J. Ed at the barbecue kind of stories. No. and
when you have a file open from J. Edgar Hoover, your life is getting worse.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, if he's taken a keen interest in you, you know you're doing something important.
Yeah, but the fact that Dick Gregory didn't die is really mind-boggling. Because if you think of everybody from that era, Medgar Evers, Dr. Martin Luther King, Fred Hampton, a little later, like they didn't take too kindly to. So
you know what saved him? Jokes.
You think? Are you being facetious there?
You got to keep telling jokes to save your skin.
Do you think there's any truth in that joke?
I think so. I think that there's an element of people will. It's not like he's holding a gun, you know what I mean? He's holding a mic. It's that kind of thing. It's that someone, if you're holding a mic, it's at least like, oh, okay, we don't like what he's saying, but
Martin Luther King wasn't holding a gun.
No, I know that, but I'm saying in the sense of how can I put it? It's like the weapon of. I'm just trying to think of like, there's something about comedy that lets you think like, oh, okay, well, he's making light of it on some level, that it doesn't seem as dangerous to us. Like, when I say gun, I meant like metaphorically. Like, it doesn't seem as dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because jokes, it's easing tension, right? I mean, that's the thing, is everybody's feeling tense. It's sort of, well, at least he doesn't make us feel that tense. There must be some element to that makes people kind of not want to shoot you down quite as much. Yeah.
Or maybe he just got by on the skin of his teeth.
It's possible that he was just lucky that way, yes.
That's the crazy thing about historical figures who would have had a target on their back. Mm-hmm. I mean, infamously, one of them is Fidel Castro, where you're like, how many times were there attempts on their life that we don't know about?
Yeah.
Somebody waiting outside their house and they didn't come home that night, or somebody missing, like whatever the case might be. So when you're in that position, like Medgar Evers' wife, Merle, I believe her name was, she said Medgar Evers knew he was going to die.
Right.
Wrap your brain around that. Going into, these horrifically racist places like Birmingham, Alabama, Jackson, Mississippi, and walking into a white town center and being like, I'm going to tell them it's time for a change right now.
That's insane.
And I'm just going to hope nobody decides now's my time. I mean, I couldn't. I can't. These guys, man, and women, just unbelievable courage.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm built for that because I haven't been called, so I can't say for sure. I don't want to think of myself as potentially courageous, but that's maybe about the best I can do right now.
Yeah, I believe I have it in me, but just nobody's pulled it out of me.
Yeah, that's all it is. I just need somebody to no, but I mean, but it is actually what makes me feel like when you watch somebody like that, you think, yeah, maybe I should be doing more. I mean, he makes it look like there's no excuse.
I know. I don't know what the cause is for me. I'm like, should I really be fighting for the environment right now? Like the earth is clearly suffering.
Sure,
should I make a fucking stand?
Maybe you should.
But it's a real question where I'm like, should I?
Yeah,
but I don't know. Then you're like, I don't know, man. I got a life to live. It's like easy to just.
Well, you did in the Seaspiracy episode.
That's right. I did my part. So he gets older and more brash, and I loved listening to this. This documentary had like a who's who of amazing comedians. You know, Chappelle, Chris Rock, Wanda Sykes, Kevin Hart. And Kevin Hart made me laugh so hard because Dick Gregory got really in your face as he got older with Alzheimer's and everything too. And Kevin Hart said Dick Gregory came up to him and he was like, "You make sure you're putting all your money in a fucking black financial institution." Kevin Hart was like, "Whoa, Mr. Gregory, maybe if you just calm down on the aggressiveness." Kevin Hart made me laugh so hard there. He was just like, "Maybe I can listen to your message if you stop swearing at me, sir."
Yeah, that was the rage of early onset. Alzheimer's. Yeah, it was. That was. It was weird. It was like cursing out everybody. Chris Rock was, it was like everybody was getting the you better be putting your money in black businesses and black banks, like that kind of thing, like a lot of that. And I'm thinking he's probably thinking that because these are all a bunch of rich guys who he's thinking what are you guys doing? I mean, I'm out there and I'm doing stuff. What are you guys doing? At the very least, put your money there.
And he had all his money taken away. He had his home taken away from him.
So he's kind of had legitimate gripes. But it's so strange that early onset Alzheimer's kind of went sideways in a way because his personality sounded like it changed again, and he started to do more comedy gigs and found his funny.
I know, and it was funny. We were watching a few clips before. It was very funny.
Yeah, different energy, but a great old man, kind of angry old man funny.
Yeah, but not too angry. Even
no, of course not. No,
Carlin in later years was okay.
No, still funny. Yeah, still the jokes were there.
Yeah,
and the anger was more just these were legit concerns as well. It's not just angry old man, but just that kind of funny energy, that kind of he had the wisdom energy, he had that energy too, which was great. And it was interesting to see that he kind of, although you know what I didn't like, if we're going to start dropping the names of comics that were in it, was how what's his name, the SNL guy.
Rob Schneider, who also produced in the credits at the end. He co-produced this documentary.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, I know. Well, and Kevin Hart, who was saying he's yelling at me. It's all right, I'll throw my money at this documentary.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rob Schneider. I mean, it was nice of him. He gave him that role. He gave him that role of a bathroom attendant. That was the only thing I was sort of well, that's.
What was the movie called again?
Hot Chick.
Hot Chick. Yeah, the Hot Chick. Yeah.
And I was just thinking oh, that's nice. You brought him back to be a bathroom attendant. It's just so
But he just wanted to be funny.
I know it's funny. I know it was a funny role, but I just thought that image was just sort of of all this guy is a king. You know?
Yeah.
He is, and so, but I mean, it was funny. He made it funny. I'm not taking any of that away from him. Mm-hmm. And then he also was able to pay for his wife's broken arm
with health insurance.
That's
and
right.
Rob Schneider was because he called him, Dick Gregory called him and said, "Thanks for that role." Then we had health insurance, and Rob Schneider was like, "I didn't know he didn't have fucking health insurance."
Yeah, that's true.
Because you just assume because he's a king, like you said, he must be doing okay.
Well, he had his ups and downs too. He did make money as a star, and then he didn't when he was an activist, and then he made money again with the drinks.
The guru thing that looked like it was a multi-level marketing thing. The Bahamian diet,
or whatever. Yeah, it's the Bahamian diet, but the thing is, I found out the multi-level marketing. When I heard that, I thought that's too bad. It's kind of some gimmicky thing. But the reason was it was to keep it in black communities where they're selling to each other.
Okay.
So now
I wish they would have made that more clear in the movie.
Well,
they kind of did.
Yeah.
they went on to talk about what you just said, but I didn't connect that with the multi-level part of it.
I was going to say I didn't connect it until I read it that way. I mean, this is not my idea, and so there was that combined with the fact that this was actually about eating healthier. It was about. I mean, it's the amazing thing is it sounds gimmicky when you first hear about it. It sounds like it's like a joke, like he's doing infomercials, but he's actually trying to make the black population healthier.
I know, it's a very noble cause.
It's amazing.
And it is the most basic thing that people don't think about. And it is a lot of the impoverished neighborhoods that have no healthy food. Like, I think it was Chris Rock or maybe Kevin Hart said there's no Whole Foods in the ghetto. Yeah. That's what he said.
Yeah, he said, actually, there was another thing that I heard, it was an interview where Dick Gregory said that when he was fasting and he was seeing dog food commercials, it was making him hungry. And then he realized, and then he discovers that, in those neighborhoods, dog food gets eaten where people don't have dogs.
Yeah, it sells a lot.
And that's part of it. Like that was part of like him thinking, people need, they need the money. They need the money to buy decent food, but also this will at least give them the vitamins. I mean, that wasn't even his idea. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to make this stuff. He was making it for himself. And then another person, I can't remember who, told him, you should turn this into like a drink.
Well, he was giving it to anybody who came over. He got John Lennon and Yoko Ono off drugs with his 4X creation.
I know. I'm actually thinking I might have to check out the 4X. What's a funny kind of coincidence, irony, or not? Neither is that when I clicked on one of his videos, like him doing stand up or an interview, a commercial on YouTube came up for some meal replacement healthy drink, like some kind of fancy Ayurvedic sounding name. And yeah, so yes, it's coming. The trial is coming in the mail.
When he went to that 1,000-pound man's home, and tried to get him to lose all that weight, and had him like just drinking way more water, and he got him off all the bad food, and then they said he lost 300 pounds in 200 pounds in 2 months. I was like, that seems a little too fast. And then he passed away 2 years later.
Yeah,
not saying Dick Gregory's
too fast, I'd call it.
That's terrible, and I feel bad about laughing.
I know. And you know what? That doesn't make me feel any better either.
No, that scene was kind of like, it was like, what's his name? The effervescent Richard Simmons.
Right.
It was kind of like him dipping into Richard Simmons territory.
Yeah. He didn't. He was out of his element a little bit, maybe, or something. But he was a little too enthusiastic because of what his losses, and so he thought he could pass that on. But also kind of sad. Like the story kind of went in a strange direction before that, even where the guy was sort of apologetic about not leaving the house, but people will understand. I was like, this is an interesting. Okay, what's that story about? Like, and now I'm trying to figure out what was that story? You know what I mean? What was it about? What did it tell us about that? Because it was a strange, where he didn't leave the house, and it was like, oh, poor guy, still had leftover, because he wasn't psychologically treated at the same time. He was treating his body, not his mind. Okay, now I just figured it out.
Yeah, and
you're welcome.
Well, I figured it out a while ago. I thought we were on the same page, but
well, I caught up. Thanks.
Dick Gregory was not trained to do either of those things, but his heart was in the right place.
Yes.
I would also like to say that this documentary, the talking heads were some of the coolest talking heads. Like, I could listen to Harry Belafonte talk for hours. Man, that guy's got such a presence about him too.
Absolutely.
When he talked. Oh, man. Chappelle's got that presence, too, especially as he gets older. Chappelle, also, they mentioned, owes a lot to Dick Gregory and his style. You can see it huge.
Yeah.
And I love both of them.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Well, that was the interesting thing. Oh, I just
Wanda, too. Love Wanda.
I just want to say real quickly about Chris Rock, and saying, like a lot of the style is kind of based in preacher energy and rhythm and all that, which you definitely see with Chris Rock, right? But what was interesting is that the way Chappelle went the other way as Dick Gregory did later kind of start to have a bit of the rhythm of the preacher.
You're right.
That was interesting, and how he kind of went in that direction anyway. Because, well, if you're gonna be an activist, you're kind of starting to preach. You can't not.
And Chappelle with the protest last summer when he released 846, the amount of time that Chauvin was kneeling on George Floyd's neck, that special. I mean, that's him taking a Dick Gregory turn too.
For sure.
So yeah, I mean, you love to see it. I love Dave Chappelle, and I'm happy that I know the blueprint that was set for him. It doesn't take away from Chappelle's career in my mind at all. It's just nice to see the people who paved the way, the giant upon whose shoulders they're standing on.
Well, that's it. That they pay the respects, that they're very aware of where they're coming from, that sort of thing. I mean, that's not for me. I don't do it, but it's nice to see when other comedians are much more successful.
Hey, you stand alone. You're one of one, bud.
Well, if I say that, so like, those people who are really successful, they pay respect. I don't do that sort of thing, which is where am I? But I think the one thing I'll say is, I'll bring, this is usually your wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Is sentimentality.
Okay.
That's usually what you do.
You want to get sentimental?
I just want to say that his death was kind of nice.
I'm so glad you brought that up.
I mean, it was like, for him, the two takeaways, were and also the son, like, saying it with such kind of love and talking about. Are you tearing up a little bit?
No.
Okay.
His son, that moment with the final wink, he said his dad.
Wink, like a wink. Like, how great is that? That's like, what's great about that is that's the trickster coming through right at the end. He's like still like he's a little bit like he's still got the energy that he always. They
said
had.
If you could have seen his face,
the peaceful look.
That's how we all hope to go, really.
That's exactly it. Well, and of course, like he kind of had two lives, both of them fulfilling the ego and fulfilling the feeling of contribution, charity to the world. Like you come and then you come back around and enjoy the ego a little bit with some more stand up.
Yeah. And he loved America. It wasn't him trying to, like, the last quote at the end of the movie was them being like, if you don't like it, get the hell out. And he was like, I'm not leaving until I make it the America I want it to be. Like, he loved, and the other quote he said that I loved, where he said, his wife, Lil, said, you can tell how wealthy a man is how he acts when you take all his riches away.
That's right.
Something like that.
That's
like,
right. Yeah.
He really, so I think maybe this was another powerful moment in the movie for me. Maybe he had a smile on his face when he went, because he really did try to make the world a better place.
Yes. Yeah, there's that. There's that. And he also knew what it felt like to be wealthy too. Hey, he also got a chance to have some fun in that way too. But he didn't really dance with that at all. He was like really all in with activism, which I guess.
Did you see, I don't want to be cynical, did you see when they were showing him go cross country at one point, and he was like putting a shirt on, or like put a shirt over his head, and then a young beautiful woman kind of grabbed him and like put the shirt over his head and everything? It was a very brief clip.
I may have missed it.
But I was like, who's that beautiful young girl? And what's she doing in the middle of the country while he's running around? Right. I'm not saying they didn't mention anything about affairs on Lil or anything. But you're gone 90% of the time. That brief little clip made me go, is there any dirt on this guy?
Is there any dirt on this guy? And that's how we'd like to end this episode. Jeez, really, huh? Yeah. You really, it's good. You flipped it. I like the way you flipped it.
Yeah, you thought I'm the sentimental one. That guy's got skeletons in the closet. I
love it.
And I'm going to find them.
That's good. You know what? I like every now and again, let's reverse a role like this.
Okay, Alex. Let's end it with the three things we ended on, okay?
Okay.
First of all.
What is it?
What did you learn?
That's a good question. I'm glad you asked. I learned about this guy in his life, and the fact that I'm glad I know of him, because the guy's... He's greatness. He has an element of strength, discipline, courage, and funny too, right? Which is great. Mm-hmm. And also, I learned that me being a stand-up comedian doesn't exclude me from maybe having a little more meaning in my life, and for God's sakes, do something already for the good of others. I'll say how that may or may not go for, where are we going to go from here, or whatever the last question is.
I'm going to go with a similar answer. What do you learn? I learned who Dick Gregory was. Yeah. And I'm baffled and ashamed that I didn't know more about him. But I'm happy I do know now. What a man. I'm glad I got to learn more about him. What a life. Yeah. How'd you feel?
I felt... I felt kind of a love and respect kind of thing for the guy, and also amazed and astounded by his great energy and strength of character. I also felt ashamed for the lack of all those things in myself.
I'm going to point to a specific moment for how I felt. How I felt in that picture of him cracking up Martin Luther King Jr.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like how many pictures do you see of him laughing uproariously like that? I felt the camaraderie of that friendship, the brotherhood, the unity. It made me happy to see that picture. Like you were like, oh, those are two buddies right there. Like that's a beautiful moment.
Yeah.
Or even when he was speaking and you saw Martin Luther King like listening intently behind him, and it was cool to see.
Yeah, they were like on the road together. You know what I mean? They were like probably they'd have brunch the next day and talk about the gig.
Yeah, exactly. Rough crowd, huh?
Yeah, you're telling me. Did you see any of those pistols and possible FBI agents?
Final question. Where do we go from here?
I do better things in my life.
Yeah?
Maybe.
You actually think? Because I had the same thought. Do you think you'll actually take that forward?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I'm saying yes because if I say yes, then at least there's a possibility.
I like that. Plant the seed.
Planting the seed.
Yeah. I think I'll go with the same. I'll piggyback on you again. I think that's where we go from here. Try to learn from the one and only Dick Gregory.
Ooh, nice. Yeah.
And affect some positive change in this world.
That's really... really great. I love the words you choose.
I got some verb. What can I tell you? You used verb before we even turned the cameras on, so people don't know I'm stealing from you.
That's true, actually. Yeah, because I was also referring to how vivacious I am.
Tell the people what movie we're watching next week, please.
Yeah, I would love to. Just as soon as my brain connects it to the Summer of Soul.
That's right.
Yes,
right?
The Summer of Soul. I believe that's exactly what it's called.
A Questlove John.
That's right.
He's using the word John, and Spike Lee joint.
John instead of
He's saying John.
Short. I've never heard John as a short.
I've never heard it either. I feel like it's Questlove trying to. I follow him on Instagram. He uses John a lot.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, Jawn. Maybe it's Jan. I don't know.
WN. Oh, it could be John. It could be maybe it's like a Jamaican. I don't want to even delve. I will not. Let's rewind. But it's what
did you
station?
say? You said Summer of Soul, right?
Yeah, I think I said that.
Yeah.
And then what station is it on?
Station Hulu, I believe.
Ooh.
And that's about
Channel 9, right?
That's right. Yeah. You just gotta tap the side if it's a little fuzzy. Get those bunny ears working.
Totally.
Yeah, and that's about a 6 weeks concert, 6 weeks of concerts that happened in New York that the archive somehow got lost and the footage has all been unearthed, and it's like got Stevie Wonder playing the drums to open it up. Yeah, like
I love it when they do that, when musicians flip the instrument on you.
Yeah, so I'm pumped to watch it, and it's gonna tie in with the Dick Gregory era, obviously. So a little bit of a through line.
I like that. Yeah, we're doing that. We're segueing again.
That's right.
Yeah.
So the one and only Dick Gregory, what a treat that was to watch.
It was indeed, yes.
And what a treat to have you guys with us for another episode
of Alex and DJ.
Watch your dog. I'm DJ.
And I'm Ali.
See ya.